What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the Wise Take NFL DFS Wise stream. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And I'm joined once again by the go-to true OG, that y'all know as Paulie D. You can find him on Twitter at Paulie with 8 D's. Paulie, what's happening?
What up, man? Nice to have a NFL game on a Tuesday. I love that.
Yo, I shit you not. The schedule that we've had this week for NFL, I know it for players and for the organization, maybe it's a pain in the ass, but that schedule will be sick. Like, mind you, this is a year where we didn't have NBA in the middle of it, but it was nice, man. We had 2-game slate Monday, which was fun. It was nice, refreshing. We get these showdown slates all the time, and I like the showdown slates, but it was refreshing to have a 2-game slate that was going to finish on the same day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I didn't even do that well. I think I cashed like 1 of the 3 teams, but it was nice to have. And then when you get a showdown, like a little one last chance here, we get a little break tomorrow, and there's Thursday. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, if they could find a way to make it work, we don't need 20 games on Sunday. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think you need it. And I don't think anybody think.
No, mid slates are huge. You know.
Absolutely. But anyway, Nation, if you're just joining us, we're here to talk about the Tuesday night football game. And if you could hit that like button if you haven't already, it'd be much appreciated. Shout out to Stephen B. Always encouraging those thumbs ups. We appreciate it. And subscribe to the channel. We have a ton of free DFS content we put out on the YouTube channel. We will have some for NBA coming up. Our NBA season pass is up at wisetake.com. There's a promo code you can get from our Twitter. Go check it out. Actually, no, the promo code's up, but it's still cheap. It's still cheap. I mean, you can use the promo code on this screen right here if you're smart. We have it up there every day. NFL 20. Can you guess what that is? 20%. And you know what? It's not just NFL. It works on anything you use. That's why it's important that you watch our shit. But make sure you go check it out. NBA season is going to pop, man. I'm very, very excited about that. That being said, Paulie, we have an NFL game to discuss tonight, and it's an interesting one. We've got Cowboys, who haven't played since Thanksgiving, where they got absolutely destroyed by the Washington football team. We've got, they're visiting the Baltimore Ravens, who have been ravaged by COVID. They did get some key players back from COVID, also still missing some key players, such as Mark Andrews. And at this point, Willie Snead, that's how bad their offense has been. He's become a key player. However, they did get Lamar Jackson back. They are getting Calais Campbell and Brandon Williams, who are not on the COVID list. They were just injured. We're expecting them to come back. I'll see if I see anything official. If we're expecting them to come back. However, they also have some injuries in their secondary. It sounds like Jimmy Smith is inactive. They have Desir, Paulie, from the Jets. The guy the Jets cut.
That's right.
They got him. Cut him from the practice squad. But they're a little short at the cornerback position today, missing him, and I forget the other one. But we will get there. In the meantime, total is 45. The Ravens opened up, depending on where you look. I've seen some opening lines at 7.5, and I've seen some opening lines at 10. Either way, it's currently sitting at around 8.5, 9, depending on where you look. Paulie will go, I guess, game by game, just talk about the game in general, how we think it's going to go, and then we'll kind of jump into the DraftKings perspective. With that being said, tell me what you got.
Yeah, it's really tough to analyze this, not knowing the actual status of these players on Baltimore. Are they affected by COVID? Have they practiced enough? Like, I think we see an uglier game today, even though we have like one of the worst defenses in football and then an injury ravaged defense. I just think like there's going to be enough sloppiness that, we don't see a ton of scoring. I like the under, and I don't know. I feel like Dallas is improving a little bit. I think I'd take them with the 8 points if I had to say. That's the outlook on the game. I think it's a funky slate. There's like 2 players I like on the whole slate, and everything else is really like equal. So it's I'm just pretty much going to put my 2 guys in the Capitan and mix and match the rest.
Yeah, so if both of these teams were completely healthy, let me not say complete. If the Ravens were completely healthy and they were playing this exact Cowboys team, it would be like a no-brainer, right? The line would probably be bigger. everything would line up. However, the Ravens have only had 5 days off. The Cowboys have had 10 days off. The Ravens, I mean, I think maybe even 11 days off. I think because if you have to add another day yesterday, then you factor in that the Ravens have been ravaged by COVID. So half their guys are back. Lamar Jackson is back, but he has not practiced once since his positive test. So I do think this game may play closer than I had initially thought, because like you said, from a build perspective, if you go in there and you start building, if you go all Ravens and like say one or two Cowboys, whatever, like you have a ton of money left on the table. And so maybe that's contrarian, but I feel like everybody's looking at Ravens are big favorites. I want more Ravens. That's all I care about. And raw points are going to matter, right? Like, are you going to pay $600 for Duvernay, who is a good play at $600? However, what are you trying to get with him? Right? It's nothing. You're just playing him because you think he's going to outscore a CD Lamb or he's going to outscore an Amari Cooper. That's why you're doing that. So it's a weird one, man. It's really weird. Normally, the way things are designed, the cheaper team is usually the underdog. So everything makes sense. In this case, the big favorite is like way cheaper than the big underdog. And it's just very weird. Everybody's natural tendency to use all the salary. It's just very strange. But in terms of the game, I initially thought, like, there's no way. I don't see how Ravens don't trounce them. But being as how Lamar hasn't practiced, looking at the Ravens secondary, a little banged up. They're banged up on the defensive line too. They have everybody healthy, but that's it. Like this, here's a tweet from Luke Jones, Baltimore beat writer. It says the Ravens are going with only 4 defensive linemen tonight: Calais Campbell, Brandon Williams, Derek Wolfe, and Justin Ellis. Of course, Campbell and Williams are returning from multi-week absences. So if those guys get hurt again or they re-aggravate something, like the Ravens are kind of in tough shape defensively. They have a phenomenal matchup against a banged up, terrible Cowboys offensive line. But I don't know. I think that it kind of made me switch where I was, and I would agree with you. I think I would be on the Cowboys side. What I would rather do, of course, is like I always do, is just kind of wait for live, hope there's an opportunity where I can get the Ravens just to win the game outright, because I do think the Ravens find a way to win. But I think the Cowboys are going to make it tough. Definitely. Okay. Let's talk about some DFS style stuff, man. I guess talk to me first about the Ravens and like what you plan on. Talk to me about the Ravens first, because they're the favorites here. So I want to know what your plan is and how you're going to attack the Ravens tonight.
All right. So Marquise Brown's my favorite Raven. Finally got a touchdown last week. Prior to this COVID outbreak, he was kind of turned into that squeaky wheel. He had that tweet like, what's the point of having thugs if you never use them, or soldiers or something like that? And like, the Cowboys secondary is terrible, right? Like, he finally got a touchdown last week. His quarterback's got to be looking around and being like, who the fuck else am I going to throw to? I think he gets too deep, 2 for 100 and change, and then some. I think he's going to get 10 targets. I think Baltimore would like to score the ball if they can. So I think Marquise Brown does that for them today. Obviously, I want to pair him up with Lamar. Lamar's got the rushing upside. Cowboys defense is terrible. They're terrible at making open field tackles. Like, if he's fine, or if he's even mediocre, he should be able to put up decent numbers today. And, Baltimore is coming off back-to-back losses. They probably want to get this thing turned around. Dallas is the perfect opponent for that. And if it wasn't for this COVID shit, they'd probably be, like you said, like 15-point favorites or something. But the run game is tough. I think J.K. Dobbins has clearly won the role. That's not the tough part. It's just, what about these other guys? Any one of them is kind of viable to get touches, goal line, pass game. None of them really excites you. I think I'm just going to fade it and play J.K. Dobbins, and that's it. Like, Justice Hill is probably the next most talented guy, but with Ingram and Edwards back, I don't know if he even sees the field. Gus Edwards, I don't know if he sees the field much with Ingram around, and I don't know if Ingram even sees the field much. It's tough. Dobbins had such a clear share the last time that they were like a normal team. So he's really the only thing I'm interested in the run game. Outside of Marquise Brown, Dez Bryant and Duvernay are the only other guys I'm interested in, and I think they're fine. Luke Wilson's the tight end that I would roster, but I, don't think. And I'm cool with the kickers and the defense.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, you could easily build a team if you felt the Ravens were going to confidently win with like 3,000, 5,000 left on the table, like nothing. Because so Luke Wilson is soaking up pretty much all of Mark Andrews' role, right? There's no Boyle; he's on IR. They have one other guy that they called up. He played last week. I think he played like 18% of the snaps and didn't get any targets. So any kind of situation where they want to pass and look for targets, Luke Wilson's going to be that guy. Now Robert Griffin didn't utilize him, at all. But we know that Lamar Jackson, like I think, like the amount of target share and red zone target share, everything that Mark Andrews gets is pretty high. So Luke Wilson, you could make a strong case for, unless you're afraid of the talent. Obviously, Marquise Brown, to be clear, is he's the primary guy. He's your cash game guy, right? Like, we expect him to get used heavily. We expect Lamar to lean on him. Willie Snead was getting like 7 targets a game before he went out. He was playing a lot out of the slot. You've got Duvernay, who pretty much played all of Snead's area last week. Again, didn't get utilized a ton. And maybe they won't this week. But again, you can make a strong case for all these guys. And then, of course, Des Bryant, who has taken over what we saw. What's his name? The young kid. Shit, I'm blanking on his name. Who is the other receiver? Boykin. Miles Boykin. Des Bryant's kind of taking over Boykin's role.
See the field when they had nobody.
Right. And like the worst part about it is all these guys, Des Bryant, they all have phenomenal matchups. This is the Dallas Cowboys, who one of their strengths, you could argue, has been their linebacking core, which is getting a little bit healthy. But their secondary is terrible. Just terrible. So I think you could easily, if you were going that route, build a team where you kind of like just leave a ton of salary on the table and you're just really heavy on the Ravens side, and you're going to have the money to bring back whichever Cowboy you want. I mean, whether it's Zeke, Dalton, Cooper, whichever one you want, you're going to be able to do it. The question is, do these guys outscore the Cowboy players? Because you're going to have, just by playing one or two of them, you're going to have the money to spend on these Cowboys. So at what point do you decide, no, I got to cut it here? Because like they're cheap enough on a normal situation. You're so accustomed to going after the value that it's like, you just load up on these guys. What? He's a starting tight end for $1,800. Like, what? He's a starting slot receiver for $600. What? He's a number 2 outside receiver.
Like, not good players. Like, like Luke Wilson. Like, he could be free. It's just like, are you ever excited? Like, what do you think his ceiling is today? Maybe 8 points, and that's very, very unlikely. It's only if he gets a touchdown.
Right. Yeah.
But like, how do you like weigh a Des Bryant for 1,000 versus, say, a CeeDee Lamb? Like, does the opportunity and matchup of Des Bryant equal the skill and volume that CeeDee Lamb has had and shown all year?
No, absolutely not. And like, again, it comes down to the raw points, right? Like, if you're gonna go that route where you're just playing a ton of the Ravens dudes and just leaving money on the table, then you might as well have the Ravens defense, because you're saying that you think the Cowboy players are going to score less than these guys collectively.
Right. So yeah, it's a good way of thinking about it, actually.
What about the Cowboy side?
Yeah, I didn't have a ton of Cowboys interest, but the Baltimore secondary injuries and just this whole COVID thing actually makes me think that they may have some success offensively. I think for the most part, it's going to go through Zeke. They haven't been able to protect Dalton all that much. So I don't think they're going to just throw the ball a million times, although if they fall behind, they may. But even if they do, I think they'll throw a lot of dump offs to Zeke. I also think Tony Pollard is kind of interesting. We've seen his workload kind of, come alive the last, 5-6 games. And, he's nice, like, contrarian play that, like, has some skill if he gets the touches that could, like, round out a lineup and be that 5% owned guy that helps you kind of win if you're in, like, a donkey thing. So as I said, I like the pass game a little. I think Michael Gallup's actually my favorite receiver, and then it would be Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. Dalton Schultz, I think, is a fine play. Certainly like him more than the other option, Luke Wilson. And think with the pressure Baltimore can bring, that he could be another check down option similar to Zeke, and could be a good option in the red zone. I do like Greg Zuerlein, good kicker, big leg, and I think Dallas will be able to move the ball enough to get into field goal range and kick a couple field goals. And I don't think I'll ever play the Cowboys defense this year.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm torn on do I want to go the passing route or the run game? Because on the one hand, do you trust Zeke more than Dalton? Yeah, I hate to say it, but of Star Cal, even though Zeke hasn't shown us a ton without the help. I say without the help because he's not used to having this offensive line being this bad. He's always had a really good offensive line. He's always had really good quarterbacks that could use the play action well and get him gaps. But we know this offensive offensive coordinator is a pass happy one, Kellen Moore. And they've had to throw the same rate just because they've been trailing in every game. So we don't know the true intention, but we anticipate them trailing in this game. So I lean towards Dalton a little bit, especially when you factor in the injuries of the Ravens. It seems like they are missing some guys on the front, but they do have Calais Campbell. They do have Brandon Williams, who are difference makers up there. They're hurting in the secondary. So it makes me lean a little bit towards Dalton. I like Amari Cooper. Marlon Humphreys is like their best cornerback as of now. And from what like I said, we both agree that he typically covers out of the slot, so that would be CeeDee Lamb. But I wouldn't be surprised if all the injuries they have, if they move guys around a little bit, if like Amari Cooper is out the gate or Gallup is out the gate on the weak matchup. You got Marcus Peters, who I'm not a fan of. Jamal Williams is the one who was out. He's the one that I was forgetting to say earlier.
Right.
So again, like they're down there. We got Pierre Desir as a potential reserve. Anthony Everett and Devontae Harris are the fill-ins with Desir as their backup. So I'm going to take some shots, man. I think I like Cooper. I don't want to ignore CeeDee Lamb. Again, like I do think that I think the mid-tier guys like him and Schultz will kind of get lost in the shuffle a little bit. I think that you can attack the Ravens with the tight end also. And that's something you can do. So I think I am going to play some of these Cowboys. And again, I think that right now my favorite one is probably Amari Cooper. I think that's where I'm at. Let me see. PPR, Cooper or Lamb? Oh, that's a good one. That's a good question right there. Shit is going down.
It is.
Okay, he's back. Yeah, it was crazy when you started calling. It was just like blam. You know what I mean? It was just like blam. Anyway, we're gonna do some questions for a second because there are a couple questions in the chat. We'll do some questions and then we will make our picks to talk about some captains, make our picks, and get up out of here. So, that part says non-PPR, Tucker or Cooper?
Non-PPR.
Tucker the kicker? Or Amari Cooper? In a non-PPR spot. Okay, I understand it now. Okay, non-PPR. Isn't it sad that we're talking about Amari Cooper and we're talking about a kicker and we're wondering who's going to score more fantasy points?
I mean, I guess Cooper, but not by much in a non-PPR.
Agreed. I guess like it depends on what you need, like upside, right? Like if you're looking for the upside, it's Cooper. Like you can't even the ceilings. I don't think.
Yeah, for
right?
For sure. Ceiling is definitely Cooper, but say he has 6 catches for 70 yards today. That's what 7 points.
Right.
I would say the kicker out. Where's that?
I think the kicker may have a higher floor. I think he may have in a PPR league. It's not close, right? Non-PPR is why this is like even somewhat. You entertain the idea. But for me, it would still be Cooper, just for the ceiling. But that's because we're always thinking about like winning tournaments. Like we need the number 1 score. Like who's going to get me number 1? You know.
I'm trying to figure out what application he's even asking this question for. Like, in what world are you able to like flex a kicker?
I think on FanDuel they have the kickers there, right? Non-PPR. I'm thinking FanDuel.
Oh, okay. But that's a half PPR site.
I think the barrier that for people consider a PPR or not is 1. I think that's like what people measure the 1 against. You know what I mean? I'm just guessing.
If it's half, then it's definitely Cooper too for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it matters that that 6 for 70 is now a 9.5 point day versus a 7 point day. You know what I
Yeah.
mean, or whatever.
And to further that point, he says, meaning, will I win tied up and I have Tucker? He has Cooper. Okay, meaning, will I win tied up and he has Tucker? Okay, so this is a season-long fantasy league,
seasonal.
and you have Tucker and he has Cooper. That's tough, bro.
Yeah.
I wish you good luck.
Yeah.
I wish you good luck.
You're gonna
That's tough, bro.
He'll win. It won't the kicker win.
It's just gonna be a tough sweat. That's all I mean. Like sweating that, because you could be he could get like 3 field goals out the gate, thinking he's good, and then Cooper could just have a 70-yard touchdown, and then it's like fuck, like,
he's gonna be.
That's a sweat right there. That's a sweat. Jelani Phillips says PPR. Jelani Phillips says PPR. Cooper or Lamb?
Cooper.
Yeah, I think PPR Cooper. Lamb is the one that's been kind of getting a lot of these touchdowns. Like he'll have like shitty yardage, like 37 yards on 7 catches, but he'll get like the touchdown. But Cooper's been the most efficient with Dalton. He's getting the targets. Like they're all getting similar targets, but he's actually catching his at a pretty high rate. So I would say Cooper as well. Let me see. Okay, here we go. Ray Rock 601. Anyone other than Lamar on FanDuel at the MVP spot?
Marquise Brown.
Hollywood. Yeah, I would say Hollywood, or if you want to get funky, I do like Amari Cooper. I keep saying this, and it's going to end up being like CeeDee Lamb. And I know better than to be heavy on Amari Cooper on the road, but when it's a one-game slate, they make you do dirty things, man. One-game slates make you do dirty things. That's all I'm saying. That's it. I don't know what else to say. All right, give me your top 3 captains, Paulie.
Marquise Brown, Lamar Jackson, and Ezekiel Elliott.
Freak mode. I will go with same first 2, right? Lamar number 1, Marquise number 2, and then I will go with Amari Cooper. All the Amari Cooper talk. All right. I think we both had the consensus on if the number is 8.5 or 9, we would actually bet on the Cowboys to keep it close, right? As a consensus.
Yeah.
What about the total of 45?
I'm struggling with that because, like, if you think Dallas can score some points, which I do, it would lean towards the over, but I think there's going to be this sloppiness and both teams run the ball, like, not a good pace. Like, man, I'm torn, but I think I started the show saying the under, but I'm going to switch to the over because that number is just too low right now.
It is.
45?
I agree. It's really, really low. It's like if this was like a normal game, like 47, 48, I know it's only a difference of a couple points, but like then I would honestly, it would make me lean towards the under, but because it's so low, and maybe Vegas is doing that on purpose to get us to bet the over, and it sucks ass, but you know what it is? It's like the world in which the Cowboys cover. Normally, when you expect a bad team to beat a good team, or at least cover, keep it close, you expect that good team to look really sloppy, which is definitely a possibility with the Ravens. They can come out looking really sloppy. The problem is they happen to be playing one of the worst defenses in the game. So it's like, even with sloppiness, like it's still hard to see the Ravens not doing their end.
Like sloppy versus Washington, a great defense. They still scored, but it slowed down at the end. But regardless how sloppy Baltimore is against Dallas, they're going to move the ball. It's just they're that bad.
Exactly. And like, I mean, just if Lamar just takes off running, or I mean, even the run game. Like, I think having the linebacker core back helps for Dallas, but they're still getting short on the ground. Antonio Gibson had a career day against them, like on Thanksgiving. It's like. So even if it's not Lamar, if it's not the pass game, like the Ravens seem like they're going to score. So it comes down to, do we think that the Cowboys will put up points on the Ravens? And with the Ravens injuries and the 10-day rest factor, extra time to prepare, I think they got a shot. You know what I'm saying? Like Dumb and Dumber style, Lloyd style. You know what I mean?
So you're saying there's a chance.
All day. That's going to do it, Nation. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us and participating. Thursday Night Football will be back. Actually, before that, me and Patio Joe tonight, 11:30 p.m. Eastern. He actually could do it earlier, but I insisted we did it later because this game, we don't normally have a game on Tuesday night, so I don't really want to compete. I'll be watching it, so I don't want to compete with it. So I'm gonna wait until 11:30 p.m. Eastern. Hopefully the game is over by then, and Patio Joe and I will take a look at Week 14, which I'm excited to talk about. I think it's a very interesting week, looking like a high-scoring week. So make sure you tune into that, subscribe to the channel, hit the likes, really helps us out. Go check us out, whitestick.com. Anything in closing, Paulie, before we get up out of here?
Nope. Good luck. Play Marquise Brown. I'll let your boy. We out of here.
Peace.
Yeah.